just running. All right, so count down to 5, and then wait 5 because if things go wrong with Rumble, I can
Mm-hmm.
restart the stream.
Mm-hmm.
All
I
right,
know. I know the game.
it was for the new person.
Oh, I know.
All right, so
I've
5.
coordinated a few on my own
Oh,
occasion.
sorry. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, hello, my green skins. And today we have a brand new video. We're going to be doing a brand new topic. Now, there's a lot to talk about on the Flophouse, but we want to see if people want to hear some other stuff. We do a little bit of everything here. We do quite a few things on the side here. One of the biggest things we like to do is little side projects here and there, and this will be one of our brand new side projects, Nerd Rage. And Nerd Rage is us going to be talking about a couple fun little things. Those fun little things are as follow. Today is going to be us talking about cyberpunk. You see, I have a YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, Orc4G for views. You get yourself some good stuff. And I've just finished talking about Dominion Tank Police, and it brought up the idea of cyberpunk as a whole. And I knew I was going to talk about cyberpunk eventually, and I figured this is a good idea that we can move cyberpunk into having an actual discussion about cyberpunk. So our cyberpunk conversation is going to be about Megaman. Is Megaman a cyberpunk, dystopian, utopian, or what? Now, this is going to be broke down into us talking about each Mega Man franchise, but we will be having a small little conversation bit. And today I have with me Citizen Kane,
Hello.
with me as always. And then we also have Starfleet in Exile, or as we're going to call Master of the Orion. Hello, 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 Starfleet. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. So, what is cyberpunk? Now, that's an interesting conversation piece right fucking there. Cyberpunk is boiled down into three different ideals. You have your European slash British cyberpunk, which is basically where most cyberpunk comes from. We're talking, you know, um, I hate to say it, that dystopian mentality that comes from it. Most punk lore comes from Britain. Then you got your American cyberpunk, which that technically is RoboCop, your over the top dramatization, Shadowrun, Cyberpunk, the franchise itself. Then you
Sure.
have Japanese cyberpunk. Now, Japanese cyberpunk is the more interesting of the three cyberpunks because this goes all over the place. Because Japan has a weird mentality when it comes to this stuff. Their melding of technology and people seems to be an overhaul of stuff. Like, and this has been around for a long time. This has been around since fucking Astro Boy for fun. Um, this idea of super intelligent people. Now, it can get really fun on that one. So we decided to focus on one thing, Mega Man, because there has been a debate about, is Mega Man cyberpunk? What does Mega Man, other than sci-fi, fall under? And that's an interesting idea. So we're going to be starting off with the first Mega Man. So, uh, a Master of the Orion. What's your thought process on the original first Mega Man series?
Well, if we go to the very originals, my thought is it's utopian. It starts out
Mm-hmm.
very utopian,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more of two geniuses with a different view on how the future should be. And then you could say the dynamic between the two slowly causes humanity to fall into dystopia. over their actions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mr. Citizen Kane, what's your thoughts on the original Mega Man franchise?
I've played a little bit of it. It's a franchise I didn't have easy access to when I was younger. You're dealing with an individual that created robots in a 20XX. So it could be very well argued to be a cyberpunk universe, a cyberpunk setting.
So, for those who don't know the lore of OG Mega Man, the lore of OG Mega Man is as follows: Mega Man 1 to 8, and this is going to be a little bit of a lore dump. Mega Man 1 to 8 is basically to cut it shortly, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk make a robot. Jeff Bezos, being the evil bastard that Jeff Bezos is, go fuck him, steals James Bond franchise and Lord of the Rings, runs off and takes his robot and starts converting him. Elon Musk is trying to save the day, and because he's trying to save the day, he's working on his own robots. You know, robots to fix stuff, robots to set stuff up, robots to get good. Jeff Bezos finds out and turns those robots evil by using a control program. Elon Musk made his own cyber children. God, that man needs more children like a hole in his head. He goes off and does his own little side stuff, and it causes big shenanigans all around. And that's where Mega Man 1 to 6 is basically this fight between two people. Now they have alien stuff, Wily's dead, new villain shows up, which is always Wily, and it's a big fight. Up to Mega Man 7. Mega Man 7 is the first time that Mega Man turns on Wily in a big way. When that turn happens, everything shifts. When Mega Man 8 comes out, technically there are finally aliens. There's cyber aliens that show up. And that's when you start getting into the cyber viruses, which leads to the unfortunateness of what ends up happening with cyber viruses. Those cyber viruses cause a lot of damage, and the society basically falls apart, which ends up in the first Cataclysm, which gives you the rise to the Mega Man X franchise. So we're going to be stepping into Mega Man X, but after kind of explaining the lore to you guys, yeah, you guys straight on utopian to dystopian, or do you want to call it cyberpunk? We'll start with Master of the Ride.
Well, as I said before, it starts as utopian. Everything is just as I said, as you pointed out, in a simple way for people can reference. It's basically Elon versus Bezos, except instead of rockets, it's robots. And it's the very first part of the series. Yes, it's very much more utopian. As robots are used to improve mankind's footing, but as the two start fighting, and this is where I'd have to look at the timeline. It could be their interactions eventually get the notice of outside powers.
So the outside powers were kind of their fight is what ended up coming into our world. Yeah. We weren't any a part of that until after the fact. And it all depends where you want to put the Game Boy game that has the Power Fist in there.
Well, either way, as I said, it started out utopian. Because you could say the first series you point out is not cyberpunk at all. It's just a utopian struggle.
Sci-fi, yeah.
It's sci-fi. But then it's the introduction of the outside force of the aliens that then descends into dystopian. Then becoming more, as they say, cyberpunk.
So next is Technically, here's a debate. Some people say Legends is in the franchise, but here's a debate with people where Legends sits in the franchise. Some people say Legends is before X. Some people say Legends is after X. Some people say Legends is after everything. So that's its own fucking chronologically confused. Where does Legends sit in this franchise? Some people have even said that this is actually a paradox very similar to the Legend of Zelda franchise. Because the Legend of Zelda franchise has 4 paradoxes. For those that don't know, there's Paradox 1, Hero Saves the Day, which is the original franchise. Paradox 2 is the N64 stuff. Paradox 3 is the GameCube stuff. And all that shit is kind of all over the place because there's one where the hero went to save the day, and there's one where the hero did. In all intents and purposes, the last game is apparently the first game, according to the creators, which I still think is full of shit. But Legends has its own paradox. So I'm going to say we're going to put Legends at the end of this thing because Command Mission is its own separate entity as well. Same with Battle Network. So, oh yeah, this is gonna get fun.
Yeah, no. I my limited knowledge of Mega Man timelining is it's weird quick.
It is very weird quick. And unfortunately, like I said, it's all over the place for its timeline. So we got a lot of stuff we have to do here today.
Is it like Mega Man Legends, like some kind of like they find Mega Man and revive or something like that? Is it that Legends or
that is the X franchise? We're getting into the X franchise.
Yeah, that's X that happens in that.
Okay,
so we have one of the bushwhackers.
Well,
we have one of the bushwhackers with us.
Oh, really?
Finally.
Which one?
Yeah. He popped in right while we are doing the live stream. Yeah.
I honestly thought we were doing it at different time.
No, that's okay.
Same bat.
Anyway,
same bat time, same bat channel.
All right, so. Anyway,
my brain no worky.
Yeah, that's okay. We understand. So we're gonna move on, and you're gonna have to catch up. So next we're do the X franchise, Mega Man X. So Mega Man X. Let's go. I'm gonna break down the lore, and then we'll talk about is this cyberpunk. And again, like I said, there are 3 different terms for cyberpunk. Do you want to break down cyberpunk again one more time for the people in the audience there, Mr. Marauder, the Bushwalker one?
You want me to break down cyberpunk?
Oh, the stuff that I asked you to look into.
Yeah, I looked into it and it repeated exactly what I thought it was.
Well, go ahead.
Where to begin? So, bottom line, from what I understand about cyberpunk and from the sources that I've looked into, looking into definition of cyberpunk, what is cyberpunk, X, Y, and Z. Cyber usually referred to body modifications of any sort, usually being in the far future, either to adapt to a certain environment for an individual, be it like some external source like diseased air or some shit, or just to compete with day-to-day struggles. In the case of, I don't know, some fucking
Deus Ex.
like Deus Ex, like an office worker needs more fingers on the keyboard to type faster or something.
Yeah.
And the punk aspect comes from wanting to go against the status quo. Typically, edge runners would be your go-to punk because you have like corporations and shit.
Yeah. So that cyberpunk is an interesting idea. It's a rebellion as long as an exception of cybernetics. So we could kind of go a little bit into that, but we're getting into the X franchise right now of cyberpunk. So let me explain X lore for those that have never seen X. X is basically Mega Man they found Mega Man, rebuilt him with the new cybernetics. Dr. Kane did, and he joins forces with the X Hunters, which are basically hunters who go after robots who go maverick. And him with his plucky sidekick Zero, who is actually another rebuilt robot. He's actually Wily's rebuilt robot. Spoiler alert. And basically, they end up having an interesting life cycle with each other, and they end up getting in a big fight, and they end up traveling out until Mega Man basically wins the day, fights and defeats stuff. Now this is where it gets interesting. At the end of one of the Mega Man X's, which is the very last Mega Man X's, humanity basically gets fucked epically. Meteorite hits the Earth. No, space station. Sorry, space station hits the Earth, and because that space station hits the Earth, mankind is dead. We are done. That is how the Mega Man X franchise ends. Mankind is kaputski. There's no one left for mankind. We all die.
Oh.
So, Mega Man is an interesting franchise. X is an interesting franchise. Is it cyberpunk?
I would say
Now that's an interesting. Wait. That's an interesting proposition. Okay, go ahead, Night Will. You want to say something? Say it.
X. Okay, so what my understanding of more cyberpunk, X is probably moving into cyberpunk, but Mega Man at the start is not.
Okay. What about you there, Mr. Orion?
Well, that's where my research and going back on it too agrees that when I played the original games, it was very, as I said, more utopian setting. That then migrates to dystopian for X and X series.
Yeah, X and Odd is pretty much dystopian.
Yeah.
With
the very, very dark ending, as I like to say.
Yeah, well, they technically have 2 more X games after. It's kind of funny. There is no mankind left, and they rebuild the world. The Reploids, the robots, rebuild everything back. So fundamentally, it's funny. They build their own utopian without humanity. Which is kind of amusing. So here's the question: does dystopian mean which comes hand to hand with cyberpunk? Because I've noticed that kind of conversation piece coming up. I don't think so. I don't think so. I actually disagree with that because that Japanese cyberpunk doesn't always have a dystopian.
Yeah, this is roughly what I was going to say. Cyberpunk is a dystopia, but not every dystopia is cyberpunk.
Mm. Yeah, because that comes into the Judge Dredd. I see. I don't agree with that because of Japanese cyberpunk. Japanese cyberpunk is a little different. Like a lot of their worlds are utopians. It's just for example, cyber something Oledo. Technically, they're living in a utopia. It just unfortunately, people decide to use cybernetics in a real, use their body mods in a very interesting way that causes problems. So, what about the body modification? That's another thing. Mega Man does a lot of body modification in especially in X. Like you can body mod, you get yourself cybernetic pieces, you get yourself cyber chips. Like you max out the world in that game. Do you guys think that's part of the? Do you think that should be part of the conversation of cyberpunk, or
After what you said
Hello?
about Mega Man X,
Mhm.
it becomes a dystopia afterward. Everything's gone. Everyone's dead.
Well,
I
humanity's dead.
Yeah, humanity's dead. Uh, so chipping yourself and basically getting chromed up. It's not purely a cyberpunk thing. I mean, there's sci-fi that does that. They got super soldiers.
Mhm.
Doesn't make it cyberpunk, but I don't know. I think Mega Man X is starting to brush upon it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about you, Mr. O'Brien? We're gonna start calling you Mr. O'Brien. I think I have a better idea for you for your character name here, Mr. O'Brien.
Oh, great. That's going to be fun to edit in. Anyway,
Oh no. We'll
well,
figure it out, Mr.
I'm just
O'Brien.
trying. I'm just trying to
What?
think other settings. Like if you think of ones like Ghost in the Shell,
That's dystopian. But
that's
then you
dystopian
have,
clearly.
like, for example, the granddaddy of cyberpunk for Japan is Astro Boy.
Yeah, and that's pretty utopian. Well,
That,
yeah, but there is an underbelly there of
mhm.
dystopia, but it's more of people refusing to accept as technology moves forward.
Yeah. Technically,
That,
Bubblegum Crisis is utopian,
yeah. Uh,
and that's also cyberpunk. So it's interesting what's considered cyberpunk. You know what's considered cyberpunk according to Google? Burn up. Burn up is considered cyberpunk, and burn up is
oh,
there's no body mods. Not a majority of it.
well, I found something funny too. Well, the Oxford definition is people. Oh, let me get back to that one again. I had a good one.
Mhm.
Cyberpunk definition. Oxford Dictionary states a genre of science fiction set in a lawless subculture of an oppressive society dominated by computer technology.
Mhm. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. If we're going by that standard, Mega Man is not, at least the up to X series is not cyberpunk.
Exactly.
But we're getting into the Zero franchise now.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
So,
fill my layman ass up with whatever this is, because I know nothing about Mega Man. Not a
well,
damn thing.
this is why I'm breaking down the lore.
Oh, please, thank you.
Yeah. So a basic human being, quote unquote human, because they're technically not human anymore in the X franchise. At this point, command mission somewhere in this lore. I don't know where it is. Some people
And
say it is. Some people say it's not.
this is where I need a refresher from you
Mhm.
is did they ever do any human uploads of consciousness in Mega Man in the X series? That I can't remember.
No,
I'm able to find. Okay.
no. The
That's what I was
closest
wondering.
thing to that is Dr. Wiley's summer vacation voice logs that you get. You know,
Yeah.
summer vacation 2097. I had to worked on a piece of a metal cybernetic arm for you there, X. Here you go. I know this is randomly placed somewhere odd, but I was on a hike and I decided to put it right here. I hope you don't mind. I left you a cybernetic limb there, Mega Man. These allow you to jump a little better. I know I could have actually given them to you, but my ass is a little bit of a prick, and I thought leaving it in the middle of the fucking Arctic is kind of like that's basically what
That,
fucking what Doctor.
that's very video gamey.
It is legitimately what well, the theory is the reason it's like that is that in theory they're drops that Dr. Kane sends out. So
Oh, little airdrops,
yeah, basically
care
they're
packages, and the like.
Yeah. He sent the cyber pieces to you finally. Next is our Zero franchise. So, a character that's supposed to be a grown adult woman, looks like a 12-year-old girl,
Heyo.
is being chased by what?
I was making a joke. Continue.
Okay. Yeah, for a second there, my brain just kind of, you know, it's like, do I need to call the police? Okay, so a character that's supposed to be a grown adult woman, looks like a 12-year-old girl, ends up being chased by evil cyber robots. These cyber robots,
as opposed to non-cyber robots.
well, they're robots, they're androids. They're
Okay.
they're unthinking machines. She ends up finding she's looking for Zero, the ultimate robot. Activates Zero. Zero wakes up, kicks everyone's ass because Zero's badass, and he ends up joining the Resistance. The Resistance is fighting against an evil cybernetic super elite group that live. Everyone who lives in this city is basically under the thumb of of Megaman. Bum bum bum. Megaman apparently somehow acquired the Sigma virus, which is a virus that was in the X franchise, which I didn't touch on.
I'm
Which I
sorry,
did.
I'm remembering the era of the Sigma male.
Yeah. The Sigma virus is the way the Sigma virus works is there's a special virus that Sigma gets that's basically the Wily virus. It's a form of the Wily virus, which I don't want to get into the whole virus thing because that thing will take me forever to explain it. And it's like, it's not for our intended purposes. It really doesn't do anything for cyberpunk. It just is.
Okay. Brain disease. Do bad.
Yeah. So he ends up becoming one with the super mind. And so they use digital programs to create a new form of like basically living cybernetic life forms that are both digital and non-digital. And Zero joins the Resistance to fight. Now the thing is that there is no power armor, there is no cybernetic changes. You just get weapons and some gear and stuff, but you do use programs to create your character and make your character stronger. Now, in all intents and purposes, have we struck cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that
Mr.
fits the
O'Brien.
definition that I covered.
Mr. O'Brien, did we finally strike cyberpunk?
Yes, it does meet it because chips and mods are quite common in Shadowrun. It's
Mm-hmm.
how you can actually gain knowledge about skills you don't have, like
Yeah.
basic martial arts, basic uh, usage of weapons, basic knowledge of trade, or basic knowledge of a local area. It's just a chip you
Oh,
can slot in and away you go.
okay. Can I be annoyed by that a little bit? And I'm gonna go on a side tangent for a quick second.
The chipping.
Anybody else? No. Okay. Okay. I can understand having a knowledge and gaining knowledge and power.
Mhm.
My only problem is with this is gaining power in a cybernetic way and using cybernetics as a kind of to have martial arts, for example. That also takes muscle memory. How do they train muscle memory? Like,
Oh, they don't. Okay. This
Which
explains why when you take the chip out of the slot, the person loses the knowledge unless that person is willing to train with that knowledge.
exactly?
Uh, it's purely based upon a program done by an MMA fighter, and it forces your body to mock a maneuver. But when it comes to, let's say, another skilled martial artist who is aware that you have this, they could do something that's unpredictable for most, let's say, master martial artists
yeah,
in order to counteract the program. So it's
yeah.
not a catch-all band-aid.
Well,
Well,
because
well, for
what they'll do is they'll anticipate your moves and counter it.
well, for example, that's talked about in Ghost in the Shell, where they have a guy get knocked out with this technique that's like a cybernetic blind spot because the cyber eyes don't see properly with a certain spectrum. But here's the problem with that mentality. Here's the problem with this like thought process with cybernetics. I've even said it time and time again. The problem with this muscle memory stuff is you gotta understand every human body functions differently. So if I'm fighting you, and
Yeah.
okay, and then I take your fighting skill, program it into me. Your body operates different than a cybernetic than my body, so I can't mimic your ass. And it's like that's going to cause strain because I'm used because I'd be moving and punching at the same thing. Same with reach. In all intents and purposes, if you're to take my cybernetic stuff, you won't be able to put the same physical power into your punch because my reach is greater than yours.
Which is why those chips are so expensive because it's customized to weights, length of the body in order for
Mm.
something like that to work.
Not to
I don't
mention the
know.
refunds depending on how shady the seller is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I know it's a cyberpunk, but it's always bugged me. It's the same thing with people getting cyber body, like getting just a cyber arm put in and then thinking they can lift up a fucking truck. I'm like,
Uh,
no,
yeah, bro, you
no.
need spine reinforcement with that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
you need
maybe need some
spine.
titanium bones. You're gonna be going full Borg before you lift up a car.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah, like even if you get the muscle enhancements. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's always been a problem with me of Cyberpunk. I love the Cyberpunk franchise. It's one of my more
Yeah.
favorite.
Now,
Shadowrun's
I
more
gotta
near and
ask,
dear to
are
me.
these
So
skills or are these physical attributes that these chips change?
both.
Mm,
Okay. The physical
sometimes both.
attributes, I would say no to. I agree with you on that aspect, but when it's skills like handling firearms, that's the simplest one. It's the
Hmm.
catch all be all, it's a great equalizer. That
Hmm.
one I could see. You basically
Yeah.
are getting some
Well,
training of how to
you,
punch forward with handgun.
Okay.
where I
So.
could see martial arts would work, you'd have to look at more like something out of the Matrix, where it
Hmm.
would take you through the training.
Hmm. I I kind of the Matrix drives me nuts too because you can't rapid accelerate a brain. But they've tried. It
With-
doesn't work.
yeah, you'll fry
You
yourself
actually,
before that happens.
yeah,
Too
yeah,
much
your
body heat.
brain, yeah, you would legitimately like you can do that. Like you can heat yourself just unnaturally if you're not careful. You got to be very, very careful with your own body temperatures and stuff with training and stuff. You can actually kill yourself overthinking. There actually is a way to do that if you extenuate your mind too much with stimulants and other objects. You can actually, people have died by thinking too hard.
Not to mention the stroke. Like the
Yeah.
stroke is like the first part of the body saying, yeah, nah, I'm checking out.
Well, yeah, because people have done that with stimulants all the time, in all intents and purposes. But anyway, so we left one guy out of this. Mr. Kane, what's your thought on it?
I mean, yeah, at that point, yeah, if you're starting to augment the the human body with different things, yeah, it's the blend of the mechanical and the mechanical, the
But
technology.
here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about the Zero franchise. It's not a human body. Zero's a robot. He's a Reploid. Technically, there's no humans left, even though Citra and all these people say they're humans. They ain't fucking humans.
Then it's just
On the good side, they're mutants.
Yeah,
then is it really cyberpunk?
like that's the thing. Now, here's the question we got to come with Mega Man. Mega Man has had body modification the entire time. Is any of that considered cyberpunk? There's a serious debate that is a robot part of cyberpunk. Now, the idea is you add dystopian to that. That's where you get the cyberpunk. That's
So,
at least.
Cyberpunk
What?
doesn't specify the protagonist. Well, when I say protagonists, I mean they don't have to be human. It does not specify that. It
Nope, it doesn't.
specifies a punk attitude towards some sort of oppression, be it corporate, be it some sort of tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
And this also goes into Ghost Runner. Like
Mm-hmm.
Ghost Runner, Jack himself, not fully known if he's completely, uh, cyborg or if he's just a machine. But
Mm-hmm.
that is a very cyberpunk setting.
For them layman's terms that's on here, that's on the Rumble. Borderlands.
Blade Runner.
Technically, there's a couple characters. Yeah, no, Borderlands, because Borderlands, you know, that's
Yeah.
that's your McDonald's of cyberpunk.
As much as it hurts to say, he ain't wrong.
I know my cyberpunk.
I would also argue it has Western themes in it too.
Yeah. So next on there, we're getting out of the Zero franchise, and we're going to be starting up with the Legends franchise. Now,
Legends? Is this still Mega Man?
Yes.
Yes, Mega Man Legends.
Jesus Christ! How many of us get in the series?
We're not.
Sorry.
We're not to the crazy one yet.
We're not even. We haven't even touched Battle Network franchise yet.
Yeah. So we haven't touched a crazy one yet.
Oh man, I'm gonna lose my mind quick. Jeez, it's a big series here.
Oh, it's a long one. That's why I said we're probably going to be at this for a bit. So, okay, I was debating if we should put XY next or Legends. So
Legends.
that's a question.
Is kind of like its own timeline.
It really is, and you can actually say that. That's the problem. Like, how far? What is Legends actually far enough that we can actually take into consideration that? And no, Legends is not its own timeline. It does actually canonically appear in the Mega Man franchise.
Oh boy.
It's a part of it. They have actually got on record. Battle Network is its own franchise. That actually we can legitimately say.
Yeah,
is.
but we'll talk about Battle Network, how that one is in a moment.
Yeah. So Mega Man Legends or XY. So I'm going to decide to put XY after Legends. XY is right around the period when we get our first, innocent person gets their cyber points, gets their cyber item, and then they max out world. That's basically what happens with that one. You get to play between, I think, a male. I think one of them you start off male to female, and you can either play Axel or another character from the franchise, and each one of them will have their own little story. If I remember correctly, it's been a while, so don't quote me on the XY. XY is not a franchise I play that often. So the main character for the main character you basically transform into different Mega Man parts, and you get to be a more powerful version of the character as time goes on. Now, this is apparently canonically should be after the original Mega Man, like the Zero series. This is apparently canonically right after Zero. So Zero, what do you guys think about this? Now, technically, you do play. This is actually you fighting a rebel resistance. This is all rebel invasions of different groups and stuff like that. So, are we still hitting the cyberpunk bar with the XY series? I know I was kind of vague with this one. That's also because this is the one series I forgot to look into more. I forget this franchise exists because this was only found on the DS. I forget this franchise exists.
And I only played it once, so it's like, oh gosh.
I know, right? It's one of those, like, I hate to say it. It's one of those where it was only recently ported to the to like if recently ported. It is a pain in the ass franchise. I'm not gonna lie. So, are we just gonna say yes and move on to Legends because everyone knows Legends more?
I'm gonna say yes based off of what you said with how vague you were.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for edge runners to take parts from other edge runners in any cyberpunk setting. I know I'm using like Cyberpunk Red as like the main one right here, but It's the easiest to
Yeah.
go off of at the moment. But it's
Mm.
not uncommon to take a bit from someone else if it fits just right. Have a surgeon or a ripper doc just slap it on you. Maybe a little
Yep.
bit of modification here and there, but taking little bits of the original X-Man, or not X-Man, fuck, Mega Man, Jesus, the original Mega Man, and honestly, at this point, with how deep we're getting into nerd shit, no wonder I'm confusing the two. I don't know either of these franchises. It has
Yeah.
man in it. I'm starting to become a
Yeah,
boomer.
we're definitely we're hitting the far end here, which is okay because this was going to be a fun one. I was like, oh yeah, we're going to drive some people nuts with this one. So next we have ourselves Legends. We're finally getting into Legends, the one that I think a lot of people are pissed off about.
There definitely was not a third game in development for 3DS that was canceled. Definitely not.
Definitely not. There are some pissed off people about that franchise. That is one of the few franchises I gotta be honest. There are so many angry people about that franchise. Now this is an interesting one because technically, other than it being annoying if you play it for the first time. Mega Man, look out! Mega Man, there's a robot over there. Mega Man, activate
Oh
power
boy,
move.
is
Oh,
this the little
Hey,
sprite from
listen.
Legend of Zelda all over again?
Hey, listen.
Oh, Roll drove me nuts. I fucking hated Roll in this franchise. I have never wanted to push. Look. I'm very happy she's a cartoon character because I've never wanted to push a little girl off a fucking tall building, and she's the first one. I don't know who the
First
English
time?
voice actor is. Yes, first time. Um. So this series kind of pissed me off with that one, but you know what? That's neither here nor there. We have ourselves we have ourselves an interesting franchise where a main character is a archaeologist. That's actually Mega Man in this one. Here, an archaeologist who's basically traveling through places a la Tomb Raider style, fighting robots that have turned against their creators, create their own little sanctums. And you have to fight your way through the sanctums. And then you fight an evil group of pirates that are also looking for this secret treasure. Yes, what I'm saying is Borderlands stole the story from Mega Man. A vault. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
I just gotta reiterate how bad that greasy Borderlands movie was, and so I'm always gonna bring that up. I'm gonna be salty about that for a long time. So
I decide not to put my energy in that. Because I know it's just going to be a losing battle of me going around in circles fuming for no reason. That ain't no point.
yeah,
It's already
so
dead.
it's already dead. You buried it. Okay, so here's where we get the fun of the Mega Man franchise. We have ourselves a character who is on an adventure, traveling from location to location, going into cities. Now, what makes this interesting is that you actually buy body mods for your character. You buy different guns and weapons and stuff and gear to help you, and you put it on your left or right arm. So you actually swap in cybernetic pieces. And the main character, Mega Man, is also technically a sleeping dreamer, and so he's gathered information, and he's kind of like part of this program that they really don't get into. At this point, humans are completely wiped out, and there's a new brand of humanity out there called they're basically pseudo humans. They're not really humans anymore at this point. So are we hitting peak cybernetic? Like, I mean, we're talking about you're in the dystopian world. You have yourself your own cybernetic. Like the main character is technically this cybernetic, half human, half cyborg robot person that has pieces that are you got to swap in and out that people make for you, and you're technically fighting a superior force that's in space. What do you guys think? Are we talking cybernetics here? We'll start with Mr. O'Brien.
Sounds like it to me, except there's one issue. I just can't remember for Legends. These pseudo humans, why are they pseudo humans? How did they come about? Is there any?
Mega Man X.
Oh, lovely.
The lore all fits.
Uh,
It's Mega Man. Mega Man X is legitimately after the whole X Front. This series follows all the way up. Legends is apparently ground zero for the very last Mega Man franchise.
Hmm.
Legends is the last. And then we're going to get into the alternate world stuff next.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, this was actually faster than I thought. I figured we'd be at this till fucking 3 in the morning.
I don't know.
So this is actually doing better. I actually think we're
It,
trucking along pretty good.
it feels kind of cyberpunky, but it's if I,
Technomancy.
You know what?
it fits all the definitions of a cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
And if we
What,
try to
what?
pinpoint for it doesn't, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Kane? Well, Mr. O'Brien's working on Mr. Kane.
It's sounding like it, but if these pseudo humans are not biological, it gets into weird territory real quick. It is the idea and spirit, but in reality, it's not.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. Remember, cyberpunk does necessarily. You don't need to be human, especially in Asian cyberpunk. Like fuck sakes, there's a cyberpunk. There's a series that's clearly cyberpunk. What's the story about? An android gets pregnant.
Oh, that's fair. Also, see movie.
What
Yeah.
we're getting into Dragon Ball now?
No,
Nah,
no,
I was about to
no,
say.
no. Hey,
Oh,
good on you,
oh,
Krillin. Good on you, man. But no.
oh yeah, Krillin. Okay, okay. Little side tangent. Krillin has fucking game. Out of anybody out there, I mean, you hook up with a person who will forever be 18. I mean, yes. Oh hell yeah!
Mean.
She's always like, and that's climbing some hot. That's climbing some hot. Okay, I gotta admit, fucking a Saiyan sounds like fun, but there's only like so many out there in the franchise, so you can't really do much. But I mean, god damn, hitting an android, that's hey. But
But hey,
back to the lore.
What I was
Hey,
gonna say is it doesn't specify it has to be humans.
no, it doesn't.
batteries are not included.
Mm.
That no.
No, batteries not included is not cyberpunk. Batteries not included is a is technically a dis. That
Oh,
would be that's actually a sci-fi if you actually
Yeah.
want to do that.
I thought he was making a joke
Oh, it's a double.
about batteries not included.
It's double entendre. But no, there's actually a film where little flying robot UFOs get pregnant from the 80s. Anyways.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually
Impregnating a UFO? Who
actually
walked up to a UFO and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna hit that"?
surprisingly, I was not like that, but surprisingly, it actually is a very good. It's actually a very wholesome movie.
Oh,
It's
it is.
actually really fucking good. It's surprisingly good. I think it's an underrated gem. And you know me, I'm not exactly a guy for the feels, but even I'm like, damn, that's such a good fucking movie. So, I think we're all in consensus here, Legends. Unless Mr. O'Brien wants to
I'd say move
what
on for now.
move on. Okay, so we're getting into the alternate world stuff.
Oh
So I'm
boy.
gonna amalgamate the Star franchise with the Battle Network franchise.
Oh boy, Battle Network.
Now, Star Cell
Uh...
and Battle Network are kind of the same franchise. We're not even going to bother Command Mission because Command Mission is clearly just Command Mission. It's its own separate entity. It was supposed to have its own spin-offs. For those that don't know, there was a time when this franchise was going that Command Mission was going to have its own JRPG spin-offs, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
Battle Network. Let's take Digimon and make a Mega Man game.
I don't think I could have said it any better myself.
Yeah, very similar to that in some ways. I think it is a card. It is a card game. But here's the thing about Battle Network. Um, is it cyberpunk?
No, probably not.
Really? Okay.
I don't think. From what I
Um,
understand, the whole idea is it's kind of like Digimon, where instead of like Mega Man and the gang existing for the most of the time are not existing in reality. They're existing in a digital
okay.
world. I don't think there's a lot of cybernetic stuff in Mega Man Battle Network. I don't remember there from the little bit I've played with. I don't remember a lot of cybernetic. It's definitely a futuristic world.
Okay. So this is something clearly he has something. We actually found something where I'm not the only one talking here. So this works.
I
would
haven't
say
played.
I
I haven't played a
agree or
lot of Battle
disagree.
Network, but I know enough about it.
Wait. Okay, go ahead, Mr. O'Brien.
Just a slight sidebar on how many of you have played Shadowrun or any of the games
Nope.
Shadowrun? Like the not necessarily the board games, but computer games or the phone, even the mobile phone one, because they were the same. The mobile phone
Um,
ones were the
Never trust an
Mo,
elf unless it works at a bar.
same.
yeah. We've all
but,
kind of played.
but what I'm pointing out is it feels like a deckerish sort of Shadowrun. If you were to put it
It
in
is
anything.
okay. Okay, yeah, okay. I'm gonna get into the lore a little bit. So for those that don't know, the way this works is Elon Musk loses a kid, so he decides to put his kid's memory into the machine. Now there's something called navies in this setting. They're basically Alexa,
Oh god, it sounds like a hell.
and these Alexa exist for one reason only. They exist to serve a they basically do stuff, but they also help fight. They help fight other like robots, and they fight other navies in little side battles and stuff.
Hmm.
That's basically the franchise in a nutshell. These characters are in a nutshell fighting out. But now here's the thing: our main doctor took the soul of his dead child, put it into a robot, and his new child is basically activating the controller for his Navi device. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Later franchises, they create a domain expansion. I'm going to be using Kaijutsu because I hate to say it, Kaijutsu's domain expansion works perfect here. Domain expansion, they expand the actual world and bring it into the cyber world. And for Land to defeat these people, he has to actually turn into Mega Man.
Uh, uh, this sounds convoluted as hell.
That's why I call it Digimon
It,
with Mega Man.
it goes
It is,
everywhere.
which is why I like calling it the Decker's Nightmare.
It literally is. Now, here's the thing. I would actually go as far as saying this is cyberpunk. You have a utopian world that has issues with a unutopian world where there's some cybernetic bullshit going on in the background, and there is some real big bullshit going on in the background. You have an evil society, that an evil group of people trying to take over the world. Then you got your hero Megaman and his group of adventurers that go into the cyber world and deal with stuff, and it's all hacking, and they'll take over. It's like one of the episodes is that they start a fire in the main character's house. Fireman does that, and it is kind of fun. They actually do go all over the place with this franchise. The franchise goes everywhere, from basic stuff to where he does cyber morph his body. So you have body modification, you have chips and stuff you have to insert to power up people, which I know is a very card game, but it is in a way that. And then you have the idea of these cybernetic people basically having to live their lives and do stuff. And then, like I said, his son is total cyberpunk. I'd say it has. Let's split the difference and say it has elements of cyberpunk.
Okay. I mean, I'm cool with that, but when you said chips and then you have this alternate reality, which is cyberspace, could you imagine uploading Bonzi Buddy to somebody?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I can
Anybody?
only imagine. Yeah, I get where you're going with that. But no, I get. There's some fun with cybernetics. I could go on and on with the cybernetic the entities of this is interesting. Battle Network. Battle Network is a very interesting franchise. In its own right, the cartoon series really took it in a little bit of a different direction. I don't think they really go into it that much in the other franchise, but it is kind of fun. And Mega Man is actually kind of a cool character. And in the end, they actually create cyber life forms and stuff. It goes all over the fucking place. I really don't want to get too much into it because it's just wild. But they do use original Mega Man characters from the entire franchise, and they meld them into the new franchise. That's how Battle Network is. Battle Network's very fun that way, where they kind of fuck around and find out. It's like, okay, we're gonna put Searchman in here, and Searchman was from this game, and Searchman was from that game. It kind of goes all over the place with the Mega Man franchise. So overall, are we saying are we saying Battle Network Cyberpunk, or are we saying Battle Network and Star Saga, which is basically the same series in some ways? Are we saying that Cyberpunk or no?
Only if you like a Decker's Nightmare.
Well, that's the thing. Here's the question I have to ask: with Johnny Mnemonics being considered cyberpunk, because Johnny Mnemonics is considered cyberpunk, and
Oh, yeah.
most of that is just hacking,
Mm-hmm.
especially that ending, which apparently wasn't the original ending from what I heard. The original ending, from what I heard, was something else, but they actually had a different idea for the ending. But that was how to put it. The main character kind of got like there's some interesting fuck you to that franchise. I kind of feel sad for those who don't know lots about the lore that is the Johnny Mnemonic story and what actually happened there. And Dolph Lundgren apparently had a bigger role, which kind of got taken out. There's an interesting entity in that franchise too. So, yeah. So Battle Network. Does anybody else want to contest that? Do you guys feel that the Citizen Kane? What do you think? Are you contesting it?
I'm not going to contest it.
Okay. Bob?
No, I won't contest it.
Okay. So
Is that it for Mega Man?
that is the Mega Man. Yes, that is Mega Man as a whole. As a whole, Cyberpunk. What's your guys' thoughts on the idea of cyberpunk as a whole? Do you guys have a love-hate relationship with cyberpunk? Do you like cyberpunk? Do you hate cyberpunk?
I
Well, I'd
love
have to
it.
wonder one thing: why the
Well, wait. Let Mr. O'Brien. He starts, and then we'll.
yeah, well, my thought is that you have to wonder the creator of Mega Man, what his thoughts was, how you all went to Cyberpunk after the first series. What influenced them is what I'm wondering.
A lot of drugs and rock and roll.
Well, that's obvious. But I wonder if you watched anything that inspired him to go that route back then. That you'd be surprised how often that does happen.
Hmm.
Because
Well,
yeah, you went
apparently,
from utopian to took a right turn to dystopian.
apparently he had his own little thought process on certain things, but how much of that was legitimately him, and how much of that was other? Like, it's interesting when you look at what he did as a whole. Like, it's an interesting story about the creator of Mega Man. Really look into. There's a couple people that have talked to him, and he actually has had conversations with people online.
Hmm.
The guy who did Castlevania is like a fucking wild card. The motherfucker who worked on that is an absolute mad lad, from what I've heard. So I know more about him because of because of his Curse franchise and
Hmm.
Curse of the Moon, Curse of that. Like he's an interesting entity in his own right. But yeah, Cyberpunk for him is actually quite. He's done some quite fun stuff with that. So, is there anybody else that wants to talk about the Mega Man franchise? Anything big that you guys like? And then, well, then also, Nightwheel, you wanted to bring up Cyberpunk. Talk about how you feel about Cyberpunk.
I said about as much as I like it. There are some issues, but that's about as much as I want to say.
Hmm. Okay, what about you, Bob? What's your thoughts on Cyberpunk?
We've been talking cyberpunk as a whole, like just as a general genre.
Yeah, as a genre. And what's your thoughts on Mega Man then as well?
Uh, cyberpunk always had like an interesting place. Uh, It's more like you got to be in the mood for it. Like, hey, am I in the mood for this kind of story, or am I in more of a mood for like a fantasy story? You know, some shit like
Hmm.
that.
Well, it is a fantasy
It's
story.
no, well, but it is a fantasy story. But I'm talking more like a sword and sorcery, or do I want something like John Clark of Mars? You know, something like that. You know,
Hmm.
what kind of story am I wanting to go on today? That's what I'm asking myself.
Hmm.
So it's really, if I'm in the mood for it, I really like it. If I'm not, whatever. But with Mega Man, well, I know I sure as hell ain't playing it.
Okay. Does it have any interest now that we've talked about it? Do you actually want to play it or no?
I never wanted to play Mega Man, even when I had the opportunity. It did not seem like my kind of game. And even so, I would be like, oh, I'm playing this just to kill time.
Okay. So, I guess we've kind of gone through the cyberpunk thing with his Mega Man Cyberpunk. It looks like a majority of it is, except for the original franchise. Like, at least the consensus is that after we get past a certain point, it literally starts becoming that.
Hell,
And
at this point,
we oh go ahead. Go ahead.
hell, at this point, I don't even know if Sonic is on the docket, but that Dark Future, like the animated series where Robotnik takes over, that turns into Cyberpunk. Well, wait, no. No, Sonic
Well,
doesn't modify himself. Never mind. Never mind. Sonic doesn't
uh,
modify himself with limbs and shit.
technically, if we're gonna get
Well,
into Sonic, we're gonna Sat AM, the Sonic Sat AM, aka the Archie comics. Also the Archie comics. That is Cyberpunk.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I just
Change
remembered the Dark Future with Robotnik. That's what I was like, oh, that's kind of cyberpunk. But wait, nobody modified themselves, so not really.
robotizing is technically We could talk about that, and if you guys want to do a next conversation piece about that, like we could have our own little conversation piece about that as a whole, because technically that is all cyberpunk back in that era, because it really does have that cyberpunk mentality.
But yeah, it has the mentality, but the Sonic mod himself at all?
No, but
Well,
that's not necessary.
it's more of he faces cyberpunk rather than become cyberpunk.
Yeah, the
Mm.
monsters. You destroy the monsters, and then birdies fly out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's people being forced into cybernetics. Like, they don't want to be a cybernetic
Okay.
fucking person. Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, I'll say that fits.
hmm
I've still yet to figure out what the hell Robotnik wants.
Not much. He wants world domination. He wants to create theme parks everywhere in the world for some weird reason, which I still don't know why.
Hey man, at least like I would like to go to Six Flags for free. Hell yeah, I own it.
Yeah, he's kind of an interesting entity. So that's kind of the lore of the, like, because in the Sat AM we can say that is cyberpunk. There's no fucking ifs, ands, or buts. That is cyberpunk. Like, change my mind.
Oh,
Because yeah, but it is fighting it's a dystopian future. It's fighting
yep.
roboticization, and he's the fastest thing around. But we could talk
And
about
he goes
cyberpunk.
fast.
Yeah, we could talk about cyberpunk in '80s cartoons all as a whole. But it would have to be kids' I don't want to do. It would have to be like an '80s cartoon thing and talk about that as a whole, because there's quite a few franchises that do that.
Can't think of one.
Oh, quite a few in the '80s that do.
Technically speaking, Kim Possible.
But that could be for a different day.
Showed a cyberpunk future.
What?
Kim Possible showed a cyberpunk future, but that was not the present of the show.
But okay, you got Sonic Sat AM, you got the space, some of the space franchises where the guys get cyber bodies. You got Ninja Turtles technically has cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Elements of cyberpunk. There is a lot of cyberpunk. Like, we can actually get into that
Transformers.
whole lore. That's
all?
not cyberpunk.
Samurai Pizza Cat.
I don't. Yeah, I must say I don't even know.
Samurai Pizza Cat. Like, we could get into it. It'd be a big interesting.
Yeah.
Generator Rex is actually the ultimate form of cyberpunk.
Oh yeah.
That's found.
Unfortunately, it got cut short.
Mm-hmm. Which sucks, because I think it was a cool that was a cool little show. Which I don't think it's even on I don't think it's on any streaming services either. I haven't seen it on anything recently, so that really pisses me off. No, but we could get into that. Yeah. Johnny Quest technically had some stuff.
Would you say Code Lyoko is cyberpunk?
No.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Or is that more sci-fi?
I would say it's cyberpunk in some ways.
But they go into a computer and they come out of the computer.
Yeah, but they're still fighting against
under
some sort of evil code that's trying to
Yep.
slip into real space.
In that case, Reboot would be cyberpunk, and then Cyber Chase, which is the PBS
No,
show.
reboot
Then
is
Tron
not.
would be. Then Tron would be too. So yeah.
Tron is cyberpunk. I would
Yeah,
actually
that
go
one I agree. Yeah. Also, the only thing that I liked about the new movie that Disney did was at least the costume design looked nice. I really liked the neon
the music
lights.
is really good. The music is fucking amazing.
Because it's done by Daft Punk. Of course it's good.
Batman Beyond is definitely cyberpunk.
Yeah. So here's the question though. Like, okay, Reboot is not cyberpunk for one reason and one reason only. It's programs.
Okay.
They're not alive.
But with
They're technically not alive. They have no function. They have no function. And remember, the only thing that has alteration is glitch.
So would that mean Cyber Chase, the PBS show, would be cyberpunk?
No, cyber chase is government funding gone bad. And math that doesn't actually fucking help you. Prove me fucking wrong there, boys and girls. Prove me fucking wrong there.
Here's
I don't
where
wanna.
I'm going to bring out a left field. Fallout 3.
Yes.
Samurai Jack?
But actually,
Fallout.
you know what? Actually, here's the question. Okay, Fallout. Fallout is always considered dystopian, but it has elements of cyberpunk. That would be the best way to put it.
Yeah, I'd say
Because
that.
there actually is what's called it actually has its own category that I think Fallout helped create, which is considered atomic future. I believe was the term I heard. I remember someone saying
Either that or Atom Punk.
no, it's not. It's not punk. It's not considered punk. It's like because technically it's not. There's not much punk in. Well,
But I'd say that's a lie. Yeah,
that
it's
is
like
a
you.
debate. That is a debate because they added punk to a franchise that technically didn't have punk originally in it.
Yeah. It's like the Megaman thing, where it's after it reaches a certain point, it does start becoming cyberpunk.
Yeah.
The worst part is, and this is also the best part, like in New Vegas, you have an option to say fuck you, but no matter what, you still have to pick one of these really shit options.
Mm.
It's kind of poetic. It's like no matter what, you're gonna get fucked. The house always wins.
Yeah, in a way it does. You are right there. It's an interesting thought theory. Because technically there's a lot of lore for Fallout when it comes to Fallout. It's all over the place. But yeah, it's that over thing. A good example of lore from Fallout that's kind of interesting is there's a book franchise that's somewhat forgotten about, where it's all about mutants traveling using space, using something similar to Stargate. Well, it's technically Stargates without being Stargates, and it's a bunch of super mutants, different mutants from different franchise, and they have to kind of live. And it's an interesting book series. I have never seen anyone read into it recently, but it is a cool series that just kind of disappeared off the planet, and I've been really sad that I haven't seen it anywhere else lately. I don't know why. It's really weird how stuff kind of falls apart that way, and it's really kind of makes me sad because it's like, damn it, this was actually a pretty cool series that just kind of did.
And to solidify the thing with Fallout, with that body modification stuff, it may not happen to your character, but there's Rex, there's the Robo Brains, there's the what's the not the lobotomites, but the place in New Vegas, where you have the scientists' brains in jars with the computer screens.
Yep.
So that's definitely body modification.
There is a lot of stuff. If we really want to get into the bells and whistles, there's quite a few.
Yeah. But I think we could all confirm it's like, yes, Fallout, at least in the later franchises, has, if not outright Fallout or outright Cyberpunk, it has Cyberpunk elements sprinkled in.
Yeah. But that is actually that atomic future, like that idea of living in a world that isn't that's fucked up because of humanity's own folly, and we have to live afterwards. The zombie apocalypse are very it's that zombie apocalypse mentality is also found there a lot. A lot of times it's our fault for zombie apocalypse, and it's which is
Hey, what
kind
you
of
trying to
weird.
say, Smooth Skin?
No, it is interesting if you think about it, because zombie apocalypse, the original zombie apocalypse, the movie that kind of started it all, Night of the Living Dead. Let's be fucking honest. Night is not there's
John
nothing
Romero?
Yeah, John Romero. Um, his original story, it has nothing to do with us being us being legit cybernetic, like us, not cybernetic, sorry, us legit being a part of that franchise. For those that don't know, the original Night of Living Dead, a comet went by, and that's why zombies rise up. So it's not our fault. And it's funny because the sad fact is that the man, they read a lot, people have read a lot into the social behavior of that franchise as a whole. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. It's something I've noticed over the years that holy shit, like there are people here that really have this mentality that this franchise is a different stuff. But we can talk about that another day. I wouldn't mind talking about the evolution of the zombie apocalypse for our next Nerd Rage. And I think we've kind of touched base with Cyberpunk as a whole. Unless anyone wants to add anything else to Cyberpunk, I think we all good?
I'm good here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
can't think of anything else.
next week we're probably going to do a flop house. If we actually if this takes off, we might do another Nerd Rage. We might do an episode 2. We're going to see how many people get attention for Nerd Rage. And I'd like to thank thank those on the panel, our bushwhacker Bob the Marauder, partner in crime Citizen Kane, and Mr. O'Brien. Make it so. All right, thank you everybody, and we'll see you next time on the Flop House, and see you next time on the front. Talk to you guys later.